Welcome to the Calm Mum Masterclass. My name is Julia Harris. Today we're going to be talking about the 6 steps to more time and energy with less stress and guilt. So, let's see. I know some of you won't have been on a webinar before, or an online class like this. So it is live. So you can ask me questions. You can type it to a chat box, and if you're not aware of how to get the chat box up, you might see this in the top right hand corner, and if you only see this little box, you just click that orange button there, that orange arrow, and the chat box will pop out and you should see this instead. And down here you have actually it says questions there. There's a question box, then further down there's a chat box. So if you just type into the chat box, and then you can ask me any questions that you have as we go along. It's also going to be interactive, so I'm going to ask you questions as we go as well, just to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about, you're understanding what I'm saying. But before we get started, I really encourage you to concentrate on this next hour, to really be present, to really make the most of it. And I know it's tempting when you're online to have a look at Facebook, maybe check your emails, Twitter, whatever is your social media platform of choice. I know it's we're used to multitasking. A lot of us do that at work. It's not going to serve you if that's what you're doing. I really want you to get as much benefit as possible out of this next hour, and you'll do that by closing the distractions and taking notes. You might just want to make a note of something to think about later. It might be, you might have a question that you want to ask at the end, and you just want to see if I'm going to cover it. But feel free to jump in and ask the questions whenever you have one. I'll stop every now and again just to see what those questions are and answer as many as I can. So I know your time is precious. I know you've come here to learn. I promise you I am going to give you as much content as I can over the next hour. I'm going to try very hard to keep it to an hour or less even. Depends how many questions we get, but I certainly don't want to go over that hour. But I will stay at the end of the call to answer any questions that you have. So I can be here as long as I need to be, but I'll make sure I get that content covered in the next hour. Like I say, I know your time is very valuable. I know you've come here to learn. I do have an offer at the end that I want to tell you about. Don't let that put you off. This next hour isn't just a sales pitch. This next hour is about sharing some really good stuff with you. The offer at the end is the program I'm going to tell you about, where there's only so much I can share in an hour, and obviously this is about having more time and energy with less stress and guilt, so that's a pretty big subject obviously. So the next hour I'm going to share some key points with you. At the end, tell you how you can learn more about it, and also if you stay until the end of the call, there's some special offers as well and some bonuses that I'll tell you about. But like I say, I really want to give you as much value as possible in the next hour. So who's this class for then? It's for busy working mums who are stressed and tired, probably never have any me time, probably feel like your life is just one long treadmill, pulled between different things. Your husband wants you to do one thing, or your partner wants you to do one thing. Work expects you to work late. Your mum's wondering why you don't visit it often enough. So you probably constantly feel guilty. Guilt is it just seems to be a bit of an occupational hazard with being a mum. It's just, I don't think I've ever come across a mum who doesn't feel guilty. You probably just never feel like it's good enough. You're probably doing your best and still go through times where you just don't feel that your best is good enough. That affects your confidence. You probably feel like nobody understands. So just raise your hand for me there, just to, does that resonate with you? Are there any of the things on that list that resonate with you there? If you raise your hand, the box that I showed you before, actually, if I just go back to that, that one there, that one on the bottom, is click that, and that's like holding your hand up as if you're in a class. So if you just click the box, does any of that resonate with you? Do you ever feel like you never have enough me time? Do you ever feel like life is one long treadmill? Okay, yep. So we've got a few hands raised there. Got some more people joining the call as well. So that's brilliant. Thank you and welcome. Somebody's saying they're not sure which box I meant. So let me see. If I go back to this screen here, and in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you probably see this box here. And if you just click that orange arrow, then the chat box pops out, the box that looks like this. And in there, you've got a space to actually type questions. So if you type any questions in there, I'll be able to see them. And this little, it's actually a hand. It's not very clear. It's actually a hand with an arrow. So if you press that box there, that is the equivalent of raising your hand in class. So if you click that little icon there, if I ask you a question, I say just raise your hand if you're understanding, if this resonates with you. That's just that little box there. But like I say, you can also actually type a question in here that I'll see as well. So let's see. I just need to make my chat box a little bit bigger so I can see more of the questions. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Somebody's saying that they can't see my screen. You should be able to see it. I'm just going to check my settings. It does say my screen is shared. If somebody else can just leave me a comment to see if you're also not seeing. No, can't see the screen. Right. Ah, right. Has that done it? If you can just type in yes, yes, brilliant. Right, okay. There's obviously two buttons to share the screen. Sorry about that. It's been a little while since I used this one. Right, okay. Well, slide-wise, you haven't missed anything. I'll just go over these two slides again. So in the top right-hand corner, you should see this little box here with the orange arrow. Clicking that orange arrow will make the chat box pop out like this. Well, obviously some of you have already found that because we've had some questions in there already saying that you couldn't share the screen. So great. And this one here on the bottom is the raising hand. If you click that, that's the equivalent of raising your hand in class. Okay. So where were we? So this class is for you if you feel any of those things, and a couple of you did raise your hands there, so you could obviously see the obviously could see the box on the side. Okay, right. So what I'm going to be talking about in this class today is what I call my iPower formula. It's a formula that I follow when I'm working with one-to-one clients. It's had some really good results. And I just wanted to share it with more people, which is why I'm doing the program that I'll be talking about at the end. But I wanted to actually share it on a webinar as well, because often we think, well, if only I had a little bit more time, it would be okay. If only I had a little bit more energy, it would be okay. If only I had a little bit more money, it would be okay. And it's, feeling calm and confident and getting rid of the guilt and the overwhelm. It takes a lot more than just that. Everybody's got the same number of hours in the day, and we all know happiness at the end of the day isn't down to money, so that's not actually what it is. So that there are a series of 6 like building blocks really that make up this formula. Like I say, it's what I take clients through when I work with them one-to-one. So at the end, I'm going to share with you how you can find out more about the formula, but today I want to actually share with you exactly what it is and ask you some questions, give you some things to think about, give you some strategies to actually take away as well. So I'm going to be sharing with you the reasons that you feel overworked, overwhelmed, overwrought. And there's one main reason that we feel like that, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. I'm going to be sharing my 3 calm mum principles. And there's lots of different things that we can hang on to and sort of think, well, it would be good if I felt this and it would be good if I felt that. But I've sort of boiled them down into 3 sort of overarching principles, I suppose, is one way to describe it. So I'm going to be sharing those with you. I'm going to be talking about the consequences of keeping your head in the sand instead of taking responsibility and actually taking action and doing something to stop feeling overworked, overwhelmed and overwrought. And I'm going to be giving you some quick and easy and really effective strategies for taking back that control. And they'll be interspersed. There's a few of those, so they'll be interdispersed as we go through. So is this for you then? What if your kids are older? What if you're a single parent? What if you work really long hours and it's just, you think, well, there's nothing else I can do. I have to work all these hours. I haven't got time to do all these things she's talking about. What if you don't even know what you want in life? What if you just know you're not happy with what you've got? Often we feel like I should be happy. I've got the nice house. I've got the family. I've got a loving partner. Or, some of us, I've got rid of that not so loving partner. So often we think, I should be happy. I've got everything. But we just know that we're not. So if you're feeling any of those things, you are in the right place. So why do I do what I do then? Well, I was a manager. I was an operational manager in the civil service for a long time. And I always loved my job. I loved managing people. I loved developing people. I loved helping people grow. I had a few promotions, but I always felt the happiest when somebody that worked for me was promoted, because that meant I was helping them, I was supporting them, I was helping them to grow. And I love to see that. I love to see people growing. But that job it totally changed. I remember it sort of all snuck up on me very slowly, I think, and I always saw myself as very strong, very self-sufficient. I did get stressed, but I saw stress as being something that motivated me, something that drove me. But it just gradually dawned on me that I remember actually saying to somebody one day that I felt like I was drowning. They asked me a question and I said, I don't know, I'm drowning. And they just sort of laughed, and that was how I felt. I just felt lost. I felt like a failure. I felt like a failure at work because I knew I wasn't doing my best. I felt like I was letting the staff down that worked for me. I felt like a failure at home because I was so bad-tempered and irritable. I was horrible. But I'm pretty determined. I knew I couldn't stay like that. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't stay like that. So I went on a bit of a mission to find out what I needed to do to stop feeling like that. And I'd been doing coaching at work. I'd been trained as a performance coach at work, and I happened to see a life coaching course advertised, and just sort of out of curiosity, really, I thought, I'm going to go along and do that. And I loved it. It was like a light bulb came on. I drove back all the way from Leeds, about a 4 or 5 hour journey. I drove back just beaming, knowing that is what I wanted to do. I knew that if I had had the support from a coach, I wouldn't be in the position I was in. I knew, it wasn't counselling I needed. It wasn't somebody to talk about my problems to. It was somebody to help me see through the fog. I knew I had big ambitions. I knew I had big ideas. I knew I wanted more than what I had, but I just couldn't see the way. And coaching helped me to see that and helped me to get to where I am now. And I just loved it so much that I knew that was something that I wanted to do to support other working mums who might be feeling the way that I'd felt. I knew I wanted to support them so that they didn't go the way I went. I made myself ill with stress. Basically, it turned into depression and anxiety. It was a really difficult time. But I came out of it, and I was just determined that I was going to use that to help other people, to stop other people feeling the way I'd felt, to stop it getting as bad as that. So now I'm happy. I'm doing a job I love. I'm working with women that I love working with. There's a photo there of me with my daughter and my husband. That was her prom, and they had a bit of a pre-prom party, a bit of a garden party at one of her friends' house. It was in the middle of the day, and I wouldn't have been able to go to that. Well, I would have been able to go to that because I had flexi time. I would have been able to ask for the time off to go to that, but I felt like I had to be at work. There was so much work to do. I didn't feel able to take time off during the working day to be with my children. So if that had happened a couple of years beforehand, I probably would have just told her I couldn't go and felt guilty, been heartbroken, but probably thought it was the right thing to do because that was work time. Whereas now, yes, I'm working for myself, so my hours are flexible, but now I know that I should have just said, if I was working, I should have just said, I've got something on, I work flexi time, I've built up my hours, this is what I'm going to do. So my whole mindset about it's changed. There's a picture there of my son who's plays an awful lot of sport, so that's where he's just won one of his cups, and I was going home from work, and like I say, I was horrible. I was so stressed out, just so irritable, that I was a horrible mum, and I just felt guilty because I knew I was horrible, but I didn't know how to stop being horrible. I didn't know how to stop the shouting. I didn't know how to be different. And I'm saying I was horrible. There's definitely, that I wasn't horrible. I felt like I was being horrible. It was how I felt about everything, and it just made me feel more and more guilty. So now I make sure I've got time for me. I make sure I've got time to take the dogs for a walk along the beach. And before I would have seen that as, I haven't got time to do that. My husband would take the dogs for a walk, and I would, even if I would have enjoyed doing it, I didn't think I had time to do that. I had washing to do, ironing to do. I would take work home. Now I've got my priorities right, and I know it's important to take time for me. I know it's important I think of it as recharging my batteries. When I recharge my batteries, I'm a better mum. So I'm just going to take a little drink there. My throat's a bit dry. Had a bit of a cold. Right, okay. So what is my iPower formula then? Well, I think of it as being like a house because it's like getting your house in order. That's how I see it basically. And you will see the I and the P just along the bottom there. And I think of those two steps as being like the foundations. It's about having your foundations in place. So I'm going to go through each of these steps in order. But I mentioned that I would talk about the consequences of stress. And stress isn't always a bad thing. There's good stress and there's bad stress. And, stress can motivate us, but it's different levels of stress for different people. And when that stress becomes chronic, debilitating stress, sometimes it just sort of sneaks up on us and we don't realize it. We don't take time to think about, well, actually, hang on, I've been dreading going to work for months, and I'm not usually like that, or I've been crying at work, and I'm not usually like that. That's not me. And these things sneak up on us, but that's what happens when we don't take the time to recharge our batteries. When we don't have me time, that stress, our body doesn't reset from that stress. Stress makes you look older. Stress kills basically, but obviously that's quite an extreme example. It makes you look older. It kills your sex drive. It drains your energy, and it makes you make bad decisions. I'm not going to go into the whole biology of stress, but it affects your hormones. It affects the thickness of your blood, and you make bad decisions when you're stressed. So it's not, you aren't being the best you. You aren't being the best mum, the best employee, or the best, you know, whatever you do. You're not doing the best if you're not looking after yourself. So, like I say, the I there is part of the foundations, and the I in I Power is all about identity awareness, and it's something that we don't give an awful lot of thought to. Think of yourself as the cornerstone of your house, of your home, of your family. And I took this definition from Google. So the cornerstone is the first stone set in the construction of a masonry foundation, and it's important because all of the other stones are set in reference to that stone. So the position of the cornerstone determines the position of the entire structure. So how you're feeling impacts the entire household. And it's not just the household, it impacts everybody around you. So it's not just the people in you know, in your house, it's all of the people around you. So you have to take responsibility for getting in touch with your identity again. And like I say, it's something we never really think about. We never think, who am I? What is important to me? But the three calm mum principles that I mentioned before, the first one is about stop shoulding and start coulding, and that's a really good one to write down, because I haven't put this on the slides, but if you write down calm mum principle number 1, stop shoulding, start coulding. One of the things that mums are, you know, really bad for is thinking, I should do this, I should do that. And we compare ourselves to others. We'll compare ourselves to our sister or our mum or other mums at the schoolyard or somebody at work. You know, maybe there's a colleague at work who always looks cool, calm and collected, and we think, well, I should be like them. Maybe they haven't got children, maybe they have got children, maybe they go home a quivering wreck because, yes, they're, you know, putting on this front at work of being cool, calm and collected, but actually we don't know what's going on underneath the surface. Just like when we're comparing ourselves to mums at the schoolyard, I had a client who said to me, oh, I just feel so guilty, I should be baking more with my daughter and I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I asked the questions about, where's that coming from? You know, you're saying you should be doing these things. Where's that coming from? And she'd said that the mums at the schoolyard had been talking about it. But when I asked her, the mums at the schoolyard who'd been talking about that, they didn't work. They didn't have a job. But there were downsides to not having a job, money-wise. If you've made a decision to work and have kids, then there's pros and cons. Every decision has pros and cons. So own that decision. Stop comparing yourself to others, even if you think they're in a similar position. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what's going on in their head. So instead of the shoulding, instead of thinking I should be doing this, start thinking I could do this. And that just opens up possibilities. We get set into a routine. We believe things have to be a certain way. But if you start thinking, well, I could do this, I could do that, it leads me on to the second calm mum principle, which is ask better questions. So if you get out the routine of thinking you should be doing things a certain way, you move on to asking yourself better questions. So if you start thinking, well, I could do this, the second step is to ask yourself, well, if I could do that, how would I do it? So if you just write that second principle down, ask yourself better questions. So when you've got once you've opened up your mind to thinking differently about things, how would I do that? Ask yourself, how would I do that? Ask yourself, how would a calm mum do that? If you have got a role model in life, maybe there's somebody on the telly or somebody in history, like I say, you can't compare yourself to them, but if there is somebody you admire and you think that is, how you see as a calm mum, what would they do? What would they do in this situation? How would they make it work? And that ties into the third calm mum principle, which is you get what you focus on. So if you just write that down, number 3 is you get what you focus on. So if you're focusing on, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and the house is a mess and the neighbour popped in and she saw the washing on the radiators and, you know, what's the school thing? I forgot my son's dinner money again. If you're thinking all of the things, if all of the things that didn't go the way you wanted them to go or didn't go the way you think they should have went, if that's what you're thinking about, you're just spotting more of them, and it just becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're thinking about and concentrating about and having awareness about all of the positive things in your life, all of the reasons you are a great mum, all of the reasons that, you know, you're perfect just the way you are, and, you know, things are happening for a reason. If you concentrate on the good stuff, you're going to, it's not necessarily that you'll get more of the good stuff, you just become more aware of it. It's, I tell a story that we've got 2 border terriers, you saw them on the photographs earlier, and I'm not really a dog person, I'm more of a cat person, but my husband, I mean, I love them now dearly, but my husband was desperate for dogs. He wanted border terriers. I didn't know what they looked like even. I couldn't remember seeing them. He described them to me. And then when I gave in and said, yes, okay, we'll get a dog, it was supposed to just be the one, now it's 2. But when I gave in, now we see border terriers everywhere. We can't drive down a road without somebody, you know, one of the kids or even me, somebody shouting border terrier and pointing them out, and we see them all the time. And I had a similar conversation with a client last week as well. We seem to, you know, we often think twins are rare, and she gave birth to twins and now she sees them all the time. And when it first happened, she was surprised, but now it's just become normal. And it's just because that's what she's got twins, she sees them, they're in her awareness really. It's like when you get a new red car, you see red cars all the time, or you get, you know, a new model of a car and you see that car all the time. So the third principle is you get what you focus on. The second one, which is again one of the foundation parts of the plan, is to plan and plot progress. And it doesn't sound very exciting, but if you think about it along the lines of, if you don't know where you're going, any road's going to get you there. So we often think very short term, when we haven't got enough time and we've got too much to do, we just concentrate on getting from one day to the next. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Stephen Covey talks about people climb to the bottom of the ladder, people climb to the top of the ladder and then they realize it was leaning against the wrong wall because they haven't taken time to step back and look at that long-term picture of what they actually want. And a really good exercise, one of the ones that, there's a few in the program that I talk about, but one of those exercises is about looking at your perfect day, and it's really visualizing your perfect day in full color, taking 10, 15, 20 minutes out. It's something you can do at some point. It's a really useful exercise if you sit down and make the time to do it. Think about what your perfect day looks like. What will you do in the morning when you get up? What time will you get up? What will the weather be like? What's your bedroom like? What do you do? Do you go to work? Do you work from home? What do you do for the rest of the day? What do you do for lunch? What do you eat for lunch? Who do you talk to at lunch? What about the afternoon? The evening? Just what does your perfect day look like? And that perfect day, we often think, well, that's not achievable, so, there's no point doing it. But the whole big picture might not be achievable if you think of it as, yes, that's what I want. But if you take small steps of it, small parts of it, if you break it down into bite-sized chunks, then you can get small parts and you'll take steps in the right direction. And often we realise that where we thought we wanted to go isn't exactly where we want to go. Things change, we change, people change. So if you're planning where you want to go and if you're plotting progress, you can actually think, well, hang on a minute, that's not exactly what I want anymore. I want something else. So happiness, success, it's not, you'll have heard the saying, it's not a destination, it's a journey. But we often just don't step back far enough to realise where we're going, or that we don't like the fact that we're going a certain place. So one of the foundationals of this formula is to plan what you want and plot your progress. And it doesn't matter how big and unrealistic that may seem at the moment. It gives you something to aim towards, and then you can start taking those bite-sized chunks. And when you're focusing on the successes in those small chunks rather than what's going badly, you'll spot more and more opportunities. You'll start asking yourself better questions. You know, you get what you focus on, you'll ask yourself better questions. So you'll make more and more of those steps in the right direction. So the O in the formula, in the iPower formula, is overcoming overwhelm. And this is important because life isn't easy, and it's not going to get any easier. You know, we live in a world now where we're constantly, you know, we could be constantly on call if we allowed it, depending on what our jobs are. We're bombarded with media, we're bombarded with advertisements. You know, my son's not happy just kicking a ball around anymore. He's not even happy just playing on his Xbox anymore. He wants to be on his Xbox. He wants to have the laptop playing music on YouTube, and he wants to be on FaceTime with his friend so that he can see his friend he's playing on his Xbox with, as well as talk to him with the headset. Just unbelievable. I don't know how he does it. But the way life is at the moment, it's really, really easy to be overwhelmed. At the best of times, it's really easy to be overwhelmed. Never mind when you're doing your best to bring up a family and earn an income as well. But it doesn't have to be, well, you're never going to eliminate overwhelm, but you can come up with strategies that help you deal with it, so that when it crops up, you know what you're going to do. And just to share a little story here, I actually posted onto Facebook that yesterday morning I almost cancelled this class because I was overwhelmed. For all I know what I need to do, life got in the way and I started to get overwhelmed, and I started to think, I can't do this, I haven't got the time to prepare, my slides aren't ready, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I did think about cancelling the webinar. But I'm a firm believer in practice what you preach and lead by example. So I sat myself down and I did what I needed to do to actually get myself in the right frame of mind to finish the slides and prepare for the webinar, and to be here and to be really happy and excited to be doing it as well. So it's not about being a different person. It's not about not ever having stressful situations in your life. It's about coping with them. It's about recognizing the signs that you are starting to get overwhelmed. And there's often triggers, there's often things that, you know, if something happens, you know it's going to stress you out. And that's fine. You know, you can eventually deal with those triggers so you don't react to them. But even in the early stages, when you do, you know, when you haven't learned all of the strategies to not let those things trigger you off, there are things you can do, and, you know, I call it my go-to strategy. There are things you can do to sort of reset, to stop the overwhelm in its tracks and to go back to where you need to be, the energy that you need to be in. And the main thing that you need to do when you can see those signs, maybe something triggers it, or maybe you can see the signs. I know when I'm starting to get overwhelmed because I start biting my nails. And when that starts to happen, I have to stop. And it seems counterintuitive. Before, when I had a job, when I was getting overwhelmed, I thought I had to do more. I had to do more. I had to get more done. I had to get it done faster so that I could get everything done. Now, when I recognize that that's happening, I stop. So yesterday, I recognized that was happening, and I stopped. Another one of my strategies is to reach out for support to people who can give me what I need at that time. So I've built a community of people who can support me, and I've never met any of them. They're online, they're on Facebook. But it's a community of people. I've got a coach who supports me when I need support. It's a community of people online I can reach out to, and they are similar to me. They have similar type personalities to me. They love personal development like me. Most of them are in the coaching world like me. But 2 years ago, when I was at work and I was really suffering with the stress and depression, I didn't have that community. I didn't have the strategies. I didn't know how to get out of that overwhelm. So the strategies were really, really important that I started to learn. But the community that I've built up eventually, the people that I met who could support me, were absolutely vital. So have you got people like that in your life? You might have people like that in your life. You might have, a sister or a friend who's like that. And, I haven't got a sister, I've got 2 brothers, but I've got friends, but not the kind of friends that I would talk about the things that I wanted to talk about. I talk about my energy. It's not something I coach people on, but I'm very aware of my energy, how I'm feeling. And I can use language like that with the community I've built up. So it's very important to find a community of people that fit you. And that community of people that I've got, along with my go-to strategies, and I've got a couple of them, that helped me to get out of that overwhelm. I stopped, I took some time off, I refocused, and I thought, no, I can do this. And it put everything into perspective. And I'm going to share one of those strategies with you just very quickly. And I'm going to share this one because I actually shared it with one of the people in the Facebook forum that I was talking about as well. Something happened in her life that made her just feel, really, I don't know what to do type thing. And although we know the answers, when we get in that feeling, sometimes we need a prompt from someone to remind us to do things. So the strategy is, when you're feeling, really overwhelmed, annoyed, or, just overwhelmed with negative emotions, I suppose, just sit down somewhere quiet with a pen, piece of paper, and write down all of your thoughts. It just has, you can write longhand if you want, or you can write bullet points, whatever feels right to you. But write down all of your thoughts, all of your feelings. Write down everything you're saying to yourself, because we're always talking to ourselves. We're always got a voice in our head. And usually it's negative, usually it's putting us down. So what are you saying to yourself? It might be somebody else's voice you can hear. It might be, your mum's voice you can hear, or an ex-husband's voice you can hear, or a teacher's voice even you can hear. But what are those things, the voices saying to you? So what are you hearing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Write it all down. Just, as much as you can. You might want to do a mind map. Just get it all down on paper. Just for a start, helps you, it's cathartic. It helps you to get it out of your head and down onto paper. But you don't stop there. It's very important when you feel like that to change your physiology. When we're feeling this certain way, it's very easy to just want to curl up in a sort of a ball. I feel sorry for myself, curl up and, go into ourselves, I suppose. It's a defense mechanism. But that just our thoughts affect our feelings, affects our behaviour. So it's just a vicious circle. So we have to break that. And we're breaking it by writing everything down, getting it out of our head, writing it down onto a piece of paper. Then you take that piece of paper, you tear it up into lots of little bits and pieces, you put it on the floor and you jump up and down on it. And it's very, very important to jump up and down on it. It's very important for two reasons. One, it makes you feel silly, and it'll make you feel, lighter because it's silly. And the other thing is about changing your physiology. So it's getting you up, it's getting your circulation going, it's sending that blood around your body. So very important. The jumping up and down bit is very important. And then just as, an extra sort of bonus, just flush that paper down the toilet. Flush all of those negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, flush them down the toilet, and come back, get another nice white sheet of paper and write down what you want to feel instead, all of the positive feelings you want to feel instead. And that will just get, and put that on the wall somewhere to remind you, and you will feel better. And keep looking at those positive things, you will feel better. So I'm very aware of the time. I'm just going to have a quick check and see whether anybody's got any questions. Okay, it looks like we're good to go, but if you have any questions, just type them in there. So next one in the formula, let's just see, right, okay, is the W, which is for work-life balance. And I toyed with what to call this, but the W fits in with the I power bit, so I called it work-life balance. But actually, is there any such thing as work-life balance? What is balance? Sometimes I talk about you have to learn to balance to be on a bike, but actually you still wobble. You just, when you're first learning to ride a bike, it takes a long time to get that balance. And when you're on your bike, you're constantly adjusting, you're constantly shifting your balance. When you're going around corners, you're shifting your balance. So it's not about having perfect balance. It's about doing what's right for you. And I've put on there keeping the main thing, because we, mums talk about juggling balls, keeping all the balls in the air. We talk about plate spinning. But when we're in the thick of that, we start juggling plates, or we start spinning plates or juggling balls that aren't really that important. And if you've done the perfect day exercise, if you've in all of the other exercises, especially that I talk about in the program, when you've done that, you really get to grips with what's important for you. And actually, and taking a step back as well, makes you realize that some of the balls that we've got in the air aren't that important. We're doing them because we think we should do them. We think that's what a good mum does. And we're just repeating, we're falling into a habit, we're falling into habits that were given to us. We learned to parent from our parents, and we might have wonderful parents, but it's a different environment now. It's a different, God, it's so different now. When you think about technology now and the possibilities now, it is so much different to the way our parents were with us. So it doesn't, we think we should do a certain thing, and we think we should be a certain kind of mum, and then because we hear about, what women are and can and should achieve at work, we think we should do a certain thing at work, and we try to do it all, and you can't do it all. You just can't do it all, but you can do what's important. If you keep the main thing, then you're fine. And one of the things that again, I go through lots of different strategies to help you in this area. In the course, I go through lots of different strategies. But one of the main thing is, lots of us do to-do lists. I used to do it. I used to have a to-do book, actually. It was a whole book, and I used to carry it everywhere because I didn't know where I was supposed to be going or what I was supposed to be doing if I didn't have my book in front of me. But the problem with that is that it just becomes a never-ending list of things I haven't got the time to do. So one of the strategies to get out of that is every morning before you do anything else, especially before you look at your emails, that somebody talks about your inbox is just somebody else's agenda. You know, it's what everybody else wants from you. It's not what's important to you. It's what everybody else wants from you. So before you do anything, especially before you look at your emails in the morning, write down what are the 3 most important things that you need to achieve today. Because quite often we think, oh yes, there's 3 things I need to do, or there's, 1 thing I need to do, whatever. It's fairly small. I'll do that later on. But other things creep up, and those little things often don't get done, or they don't get done the way we need to do them, or they're rushed at the end, or they're the things for us, the things that we might think, oh, I'll book a massage later or something, and we don't do it because we haven't got time, or that's a luxury that we don't always have time to do. That it might even be that you think, right, I'm going to go out and get 5 minutes fresh air at lunchtime, and life gets in the way and other things happen. So when you're writing your to-do list, start off with the 3 main things that you need to do that are going to support you, not the things that other people want you to do, the 3 main things that are going to support you. Then you can prioritize all of the other things, but do those three main things first. Get them out of the way, do the 3 main things first before you open your inbox. I mean, you might need to open your inbox to do some of them, but don't get sucked into answering those emails. So, like I say, there's lots of different tips for work-life balance, but the main thing I want you to take away from this is don't get sucked into thinking you've got to keep all of those balls in the air. Some of those balls you might want to hold on to. You might want to put them to one side and pick it up later. But don't think you've got to keep juggling them all at the same time. So the next one is E, energy management. Can I just ask you if you can still see my screen? I'm just getting a note saying my screen's not oh, it says it's back now. Right, hopefully you can see that. Just had a little note saying you couldn't see my screen. Right, I've got a question saying, would I say that prioritizing is a key to work-life balance? No, I wouldn't say it was the priority. I would say it's one of the things that you have to be aware of. I think when I'm talking about the iPower system, the I in there is go back to that slide, is identity awareness. And I think, and this is the thing that we don't spend a lot of time on. We don't think about us. We think about, I'm a mum, so I've got to do this, that and the other. And often we're doing things that we think we should be doing that just aren't in alignment with us, and we're not taking the time out to put ourselves first. And I talk about the importance of self-care, and people tend to think, well, I haven't got time for self-care, I've got to do this, my kids come first. And yes, the kids do come first, but when you're not looking after yourself, then you aren't the best person you can be. So prioritizing is something that is very important. But I think the most important thing is to look at yourself as an individual, as the cornerstone. Looking at that slide, they're looking at yourself as the cornerstone of the family, of your environment, whatever your family is. And your family, your kids might have left home, it doesn't really matter. You're still the cornerstone of that environment. And if you haven't got those strong foundations underneath you, you can't do all of the other things that you need to do. And if you've got those strong foundations, then that allows you to make the decisions about what actually is a priority. It allows you to come from that from a better place. So yes, prioritizing is important. But you can prioritize all you like, but if life gets in the way and you start to feel overwhelmed and you haven't got those strategies for overcoming overwhelm, then that prioritizing goes out of the window. So yes, that's a part of it, but these other things are something that is very important. So I hope that makes sense, that I think the foundations are the most important things, and the other things are sort of like building blocks, things that you put on top of the foundations. So if you haven't got, you could be really good at prioritizing. If you're prioritizing the wrong things because you haven't actually learned what's important to you, what's important to your family, what you actually want your perfect day to look like, then you're building a house on uneven foundations. Which takes me on to the E. Just aware of the time there, because like I say, I'm happy to stay and answer questions, but I don't want to keep you on the call because I know your time is precious. So the E, the energy management. And most of us know we should exercise more, we should eat better to have more energy. But there's lots of other things that you could be doing to manage your energy. Some of the things that drain us are things that we tolerate, and it could be things that we do because we think we should do them. Maybe we clean the house from top to bottom every Saturday because we think we should do it, because that's what our mum does, or that's what our mother-in-law used to do, and our husband expects us to do that. But actually, does it have to be? Is it that important, or is that just that? Are you just doing something you think you should do, and actually that's zapping your energy? And it would be much more beneficial for you to go for a walk along the beach, or take the kids out somewhere, or just put your feet up. Send the kids out with their dad and just put your feet up. So there are always things that zap us of energy, and one of the things that we do in the course is actually to work out exactly what those are, because you could probably name 3 maybe off the top of your head, but there are always deeper ones. There are always ones hidden that are also, zapping away at our energy. And when we uncover them, we can start to do things about them. And it's one step at a time. Sometimes we think, well, that's just the way it is. There's nothing I can do about that. But that's rarely true. But there are usually things we can do about it, even if it's just to change our thinking about that situation. So energy management, don't just think about what are you doing that drains your energy. Think about, what are you doing that you don't need to do. One of the things that mums often tell me is, I haven't got time to be coached, I haven't got time to do a program. How many hours do you spend, say, watching telly? How many hours do you spend, say, on Facebook, or on the phone talking to friends? Yes, those things are important. It's important to have downtime. But are you making the best use of that downtime? Could you free some of that downtime up to do something more productive? Yes, great, go for a run, or go to the gym or something, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be investing some time in moving forward, in thinking differently about things, in working out what's holding you back and how to move forward. So that's one of the exercises I would encourage you to do. Just make a long list of all of the things that are draining your energy. Maybe it's constant arguments with your husband about money. Maybe it's constant arguments about the kids, so with your ex-husband. What is it that's draining your energy, and how can you take small steps forward to change that? And if it's something like arguments with an ex-husband about the children, often we'll go into that situation, in a certain frame of mind, and the situation's out of control before we can even do anything about it. But if you've got them down on paper and you can start identifying them, then, you've got your energy zapper on one side of the paper, you've got your solution or possible solution on the other side of the paper. So just think, right, well, I know when I go to pick the kids up, we always have an argument. So I can do such and such. I can send him a text saying, this is what I'm going to do. If you've got a problem, if you're not happy with that, send me an email, drop me a text, ring me later. But let's stop arguing in front of the kids, whatever it is. So you can start coming up with those solutions, some, different ways of doing things once you're aware of them. Awareness is really important. And that moves us nicely on to the Revive Relationships one. And I'm just going to nip back up to the picture there, gone too far, where you can see the R I've got as the roof of the house. Because you can have your house in order, you can have the foundations, you can have a really good work-life balance, you can, have good energy, you can have ways of getting over the overwhelm. But if the relationships with the people around you aren't great, it's still not good. You're still not going to be happy. You're still not going to be in the best place you can be. So getting the relationships right is sort of like the icing on the cake. It's an umbrella over everything else, as it were. So just go back down to that slide. I've gone too far. So it doesn't matter how much, whether it's it doesn't matter which relationship it is. First of all, it doesn't have to be a relationship with a loved one. It could be a relationship with a partner or an ex-partner. Could be a relationship with your mum or a sister or a mother-in-law. It doesn't matter who those relationships are. If those relationships are in your life, then you have to make sure that you are getting the most out of them, that they're not zapping your energy. And like I mentioned in the last slide, we get into habits. We get into a certain way of thinking about relationships sometime, or if we're really tired, we don't make the effort. So one of the things I talk about in the program is how to communicate better with people, how to communicate with our kids, but how to communicate with all of the people we've got relationships with, so that we feel like we're doing the best we can, even if they haven't got the same way of thinking about things as us. So the 3 points that I want you to take away about relationships is, the first of all, to be fully engaged. It's really, really easy. Like I say, with technology and everything going on around us, it's really easy to be doing one thing and having a conversation, whether it's typing an email or whether it's looking on Facebook or, reading a text message. It's really easy to be doing that and having a conversation. Or washing the dishes and, having a chat with our husband or whatever, and he's trying to tell us about the day or whatever it is. So the first one, if you're having a conversation with someone, be fully engaged. And if you've got to have a conversation with somebody where maybe there's a potential for conflict, or you just know they don't have the same way of thinking about things as you, know what outcome you want when you go into that conversation. So have clarity about the outcome that you want. So to use the example I used before, if you're going to pick the kids up and you want to have a conversation about changing some times with them, have clarity about the outcome, not just about what you want to say, but how you want to walk away feeling, how you want him to walk away feeling, how you want your kids to feel if they're around you in that situation. Have clarity about that outcome, the whole of that outcome, and make sure that they feel heard as well. It's not just about you saying what you want, it's about making sure that you get across to the other person that you understand they may think something different to you. So one of the things I tell clients is to use the here is where we are against here is where we could be example. So don't just say this is what I want, because that immediately puts the other person on the defensive. You could say, we have this situation, I think this and you think that, and this is where we could be. We could talk about it. We could come to an agreement that helps both of us. I know you think this, I think that. How can we get from here to there? And that just makes them feel like you have heard them, like you're understanding them. And it's just a good foundation to have a more useful conversation. because they don't care what you know until they know that you care. So by talking to them like that, they know that you care about a positive outcome for everybody. So that is my six-step system for having more time and energy with less stress and guilt. It's putting all of those building blocks together, and it's an awful lot to go through in one hour. I realise that, but I've tried to give you some strategies that you can take away and start putting into place, you know, immediately. And there might be a few different things that resonate with you, but what I'd really encourage you to do is make a decision to do at least one of those things, whatever it is. Take one thing away and make a decision, be responsible, understand that nothing is going to change unless you take that responsibility and make the decision. So that leads me on, like I say, to the program that's starting on the 1st of July actually. And I know what I've gone through here. There's an awful lot to it. There's an awful lot to cover in 1 hour, but it's really important to have all of the building blocks in place. It's like I say, it's not just about prioritizing. It's important to have all of those building blocks in place. And I know how easy it is to get overwhelmed. And I only started to shift when I got the support of other people from a coach and built up a community of people who could support me when life got in the way. So the program is actually a group coaching program. It's a 6-week group coaching program, and I take you step by step through all of the stages, everything that you need to do, and then it's in manageable chunks and bite-sized chunks rather than, you know, a lot of this you could get in a book. You could pick, you know, you could go and buy a book and you could go through it yourself. But it can be very overwhelming like that. So the group coaching program takes you step by step through these 6 stages. It gives you more strategies, it gives you more questions, and it'll give you different strategies so that you can pick the right one for you, because we all learn differently. We all benefit from different things. So it's designed for you to get it's not a system where I do sort of say do this, that and the other, but I give you choices. I help you make choices and decisions and work out the best solutions for you. And over the course of the 6 weeks there are 6 recorded videos, 6 recorded content videos, one for each of those steps in the iPower, you know, one for the app for the identity, one for the plan, and one for the overwhelm, one for the work. So there's a video for each step to take you through each step. There are exercises to go with that. There are questions to make you think about things. And again, it's not a case of you have to do everything. I'll say, you know, you may want to do this one, or you may want to do that one. You may want to do both if you think both of them will resonate. But it's been designed for you to take at your own pace. It's been designed for you to it's online. It's over the course of a week, but it's scheduled so that you can do it. You can fit it in when you need to fit it in. Maybe you can do it in your lunch hour. Maybe you can do it when you come back from work. Maybe you can spend half an hour doing it one morning, you know, before the kids get up. It's very much written for you to be able to fit it into your lifestyle. Like I say, step by step that you can slot into your lifestyle and make it work for you. It's not prescriptive. It's about finding the solutions for you. So there are 6, like I say, 6 video modules which will be released. Let me see, what day was I going to release them on? They will be released each Thursday, but there will also be 6 live Q&A calls. So once a week there will be a live Q&A call and they'll follow the content module. So you will gone through the content, and then you can ask me any questions that you've got and have the chance maybe to have some coaching on the call if that's what you want to do. Those calls are going to be at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. It's, you know, the people who signed up for this will all be working mums, so there's not going to be an ideal time. I picked 9 o'clock because hopefully the kids will be in bed, or, you know, more chance maybe of the kids being in bed. But I know a lot of people won't be able to turn up for those live calls, so they will be recorded. And there's going to be a Facebook group as well where you can actually ask me questions. So you can ask questions in the Facebook group. Some of them I might answer there and then. Some of the longer ones I might actually address on the live Q&A calls. So again, if you can turn up live for those Q&A calls, fantastic. If you can't, it's not a problem. You can fit them in as and when serves you best. So as well as the content and the live Q&A calls, there is, let me just get my list up because I added a few extra things in. What I'm adding in is a bonus, because I know that everybody learns a different way. Some people like to watch the videos, some people prefer to read. Some people like to do both so that they can make notes. So what I'm actually going to do is the recorded, the videos that I send out, I'm going to actually provide a transcript with them. So if you prefer to read rather than watch, maybe your internet connection isn't that great, you can actually print them out, or print them out and make notes as you go along. So you're going to get written transcripts of the weekly videos as well. All of the material is hosted in a private coaching area, so that you can log on there. There's space for you to, when I ask questions or exercise, there's space in there for you to upload your thoughts, and that's a really good way of keeping track of what you've got done. You're just going to have one link on your desktop that you can click, and you can access all of the material. There's no searching through emails trying to find videos that are sent out. It's all going to be hosted in one place where it's really easy to access. It's really easy to record your insights. Like I say, all the transcripts and everything will be in there. And each week there's going to be a variety, depending on the week we're covering, there's going to be a variety of workbooks, exercises. Like I say, you could do them all if you want, or you could pick the one that resonates with you most. The Facebook group, I don't know whether many of you have been in private Facebook groups before, but I've been in a few of them for different programs that I've done, and they are just fantastic. With the right people in the Facebook group, it just makes that community makes a huge difference. It makes you realize you're not alone, and I think that's very important for mums. We sometimes feel like we're alone, nobody understands, or we can't actually talk about how we feel about something. So that Facebook group is going to be really useful, and there'll be some weekly accountability in there as well to keep everybody on track. So I'll be popping up in there, asking how you're going, seeing if I can support you. So normally this would have a price of £249. I am going to release it in September for £249, but for anyone who signs up before the 1st of July, it's going to be £99. So that's a special summer saving for £99 for anybody who signs up before the end of July. Sorry, the 1st of July rather. But anybody who signs up, the first 5 people who sign up, I'm going to give a bonus to. I really like working with motivated, decisive people. They are going to have the best results from this. So fast action, early action bonuses are going to be, the first 5 people that sign up are going to get a coaching session with myself, a 45-minute coaching session with myself at the end of the 6-week program, to really embed everything that's being learned, to really make sure that they've got a really good path to be going along with. And when I work one-to-one with clients, I always work for a minimum of 3 months at a time, and that actually has an investment of £1,997, just under £2,000. So those 45-minute coaching sessions do have quite a high value. So you're going to get an awful lot out of that, and you'll have gone all the way through the material as well. So we really get laser targeted on what you need to do to keep moving forward. Like I said at the start, it's a journey. It's not a destination, it's a journey. There's a money-back guarantee. everything I offer online, I always give a money back guarantee. It's not right for everybody. Something might come up. It might be the wrong time. You might decide it's not for you. So there's a 60-day money back guarantee as well, which is quite good considering the course is only 6 weeks. So you can get to the end of the course, spend another 2 weeks, and then decide it's not for you if you think you haven't got what you wanted out of the course. So how to claim your spot now. I was going to have all of this down on slides to show you, but like I said yesterday, I nearly cancelled the webinar, just that overwhelmed, but having that community just made me realise, no, I've got something really good I want to offer to people, and I'm going to get it out there. It doesn't matter if the slides aren't finished. So to actually sign up for that coaching, for that group coaching program, the URL is and I'm going to see if I can type it in the chat box in a minute, but the URL is www. Hopefully you can see me still. The URL, sorry, is www.calmmumbootcamp.com. And I'm going to just, I've got it open now. I'm going to type that in to the chat box for you, and then you can copy and paste it if you want to. But if you have got any questions, you can either ask me them now, or you can send me an email at can't type and talk at the same time. You can send me an email at julia@harris.com, or like I say, I'll be on the call to answer your questions. Right, I need to stop talking while I type that URL in, otherwise I'll get it wrong. Right, that should have worked hopefully. So that tells you exactly what's in the program. Like I say, the offer for the £99 investment runs out on the 1st of July, and it's only going to be the first 5 people who get that additional coaching session, which has got, like I say, quite a high value on it. But I can't stress enough the importance of the community. I know some people might feel a bit shy about taking part in a group coaching environment, but that community side of things is really, really important. It helps, you'll hold each other accountable. If you're having a bad day, somebody else will be able to give you some words of wisdom. It helps you see that you're not alone. It is really, really, really useful, and I'm going to be posting in there lots, whether it's motivational videos or different little quotes or different exercises to do, as well as answering the questions, as well as, I just really want to support you as much as I can, and this is the easiest way for me to do it at an affordable investment, really. I'm going to have a look to see if I've got any questions. Let me just... If you've got any questions, just type them into the... So somebody's asking about the amount of time spent taking kids to extracurricular activities, and what I would say in answer to that is, are you doing that because you think you should be doing it? What are the reasons behind all of the extracurricular activities, or what is the reason behind all of the traveling? Could there be a different way of doing it? Could they, let's just say, well, for example, my son plays a lot of football, and let's say I had to travel 9 hours a week taking him to football. I don't, luckily, and we share that, my husband and I share that. But, is there a way of having him do that activity somewhere closer to home? Quite often kids will say to us, yes, but I want to go there because that's where my friends go. But actually, does that serve you? Does that, it might be easier to take them there rather than arguing with them about it, or rather than sitting down explaining to them that actually you can't do that anymore. Maybe it's time to do some brainstorming with them, sit them down and talk to them and brainstorm with them and lay out, doing this takes me 9 hours a week. Maybe it's put that in terms of money. How much do you earn an hour? So let's just say you earn, just to make it easy, £10 an hour. So if you spend 9 hours a week ferrying them around, that's £90 a week. So time is money. We don't think of it like that, but time is money. So maybe it's time to have a conversation with them and explain to them, this is the problem. This is where we need to be. I need to cut this travelling time down. How are we going to do it? Do we cut some of the classes out? Do we find classes closer to home? And if you're reluctant to do that, what is behind that? Is that because you think a good mum does do all of these different things? Who is it really serving? Is it going to do them any harm to miss a class or to go to a different class? Or actually are there some benefits there? Maybe the benefits are that they'll meet a wider group of people. Maybe there are, classes closer to home with, which are better. Or maybe it's just different, but they'll be learning different things. Maybe it's, maybe you could sell it that it's time for a change. But I would definitely say look at what's behind that feeling like you have to do, and kids, really are good at pulling at our heartstrings. They are really good at making us feel guilty. But it's up to you to not, to let that go, to make a decision, to know the reason behind that decision, to explain the decision to them. And if they're still, in a huff about it, that doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't affect your relationship with them. In the bigger picture, if you think about the bigger picture, is it really going to affect your relationship? The fact that you have to put your foot down and change something or say no to something, is it, bigger picture, is that really going to be what they remember when they're older? Or are they going to remember the fact that their mum was, stressed out all the time? Their mum used to drive them to dance classes totally stressed out because she had all of these other things to do. So try and think of it from a different point of view and work out where you are, would it really affect your relationship with them if you said no? Right, let's see. Okay, so somebody's saying they have got a community of like-minded mums, but she finds herself checking in too much, doesn't want to miss out. Right, okay. Then I would say to you, is it the right kind of community? You can have, like I said before, I've got friends, but the people I talk to, when I feel overwhelmed, the people I talk to aren't my closest friends, and that's not, my friends love me, and my friends will say, oh, that, yes, that's awful, oh yes, why don't you cancel the webinar, oh, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. But that's not what I need, that's not what serves me. I needed somebody to say to me, Julia, you're going to be great, you've done loads, it doesn't matter if the slides aren't finished, take time off, recharge your battery, be kinder to yourself. I needed, sometimes it's about the challenge, sometimes it's about somebody challenging you to think bigger. It's about somebody, somebody said to me, sod the slides, it doesn't matter about the slides, you know what you need to do. If you don't have slides, nobody knows they were meant to be there. So it's, they were challenging me to step up and do it anyway and do it without the slides. And as it was, when I got a grip and refocused, I realized I didn't need the slides, I could do it without them. Sorry, I could, I had time to do the slides rather, but there are things in there that aren't in that I wanted to put in. So is that Facebook community, is it the right kind of community? Are they friends, or are they people who are going to hold you accountable, who are going to challenge you, who are going to, yes, your friends will pick you up when you're down, but are they going to encourage you to stretch yourself? Are they going to encourage you to say no to the kids if that's the right thing to do, rather than saying, oh, isn't it awful when they make you feel guilty? Is it going to be, are they going to be encouraging you to ask yourself the right questions? Is it the right kind of support is what I suppose I'm saying. But absolutely, it's not about spending all day on Facebook talking to people and realizing you're in the same boat. It's about people who are going to pick you up. One of the I talked about accountability in the group, which is really good, because often we can think, right, I've got these goals to set, but time, things crop up, things get in the way, and we don't do them. When we've got that accountability, we've got, we get into, if we know we're going to be held accountable, if we know somebody's going to say, hang on, you said you were going to do such and such, and why haven't you done it? And coming from a loving place, coming from a supportive place, because they know that's going to help you grow, they know in the long term that's going to help you, that accountability might just make you sort of, get your finger out and do whatever it is you were going to do. And it's not about, why didn't you do that? It's not about blame if things didn't get done. It's about helping you work out what got in the way so you can stop it getting in the way next time. And that's something that I'll do, and it's something that you'll all learn to do with the content, with the content material. You learn to do it, and you'll be able to support each other to do it. So you'll be going through the program with people who are going through the same sort of thing. And like I say, you'll have me there as well in the group to help with difficult things that, it's very hard to get out of that mum guilt mode. It's really, really hard. We all fall into it. I fall into it, and it's really hard to get out of it. And it's just about having the people around you who can support you to get out of it, who will support you to feel like it's okay to say no from time to time. And it's okay to put yourself first from time to time. So it's not just about meeting people who feel the way you do. It's about meeting the people who are going to challenge you, hold you accountable, and who are going to share your successes as well. That's a really, really important thing. And sometimes when we're growing, sometimes when we're developing, the people around us might question, well, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to, start doing these things? Why do you want to say no to people? It's just easier to say yes. But you'll be looking at the bigger picture. You'll be seeing things differently, and sometimes that can leave other people behind. And when we leave other people behind or start thinking differently to other people, that can be a bit scary if we feel out there on our own. So if you're in a community with people who are also going along the same journey, it can just be huge. It's just really, really supportive. So yes, the Facebook, having people you can talk to on Facebook and vent to, I suppose, is great. But this takes it one step further. It's accountability, support, encouragement, sharing successes, and having somebody, sometimes those successes to other people, you think, well, that's no big deal. So I dropped the kids off and I didn't have an argument with my ex, so I did this, and and it might, we get into this habit of thinking, well, that's not a big deal. But actually, if it was something that was eating away at you, it is a big deal, and you can be open and honest in this sort of environment, and get it out there, and be proud of what you've done, because you're on the same journey as other people. So I hope that makes sense. Somebody's going to negotiate with the husband to share more of the ferrying about, which is fantastic. Really, really good. So I think I've answered the questions. I'm just going to have another look through to see if I've missed any. I'm sure I can make this box I'm looking in bigger to make it easier to see, but no. So I think we've covered them all. So like I say, if you do want to sign up for the program, the £99 offer ends on the 1st of July, so sign up quickly if you want it at the reduced rate, and if you want one of those coaching sessions, be one of the first 5 to sign up. That link is in the chat box there, or it is www.calmmumbootcamp.com. And I know we've got a few people from America, so it's mum with a U, but actually I think it will work if you type mom as well. So if nobody has got any final questions, last chance to type something into the chat box before I say good night, because we've gone over, so I'm sure you're all ready for a glass of wine or an early night. Okay, right, it doesn't look like we've got any more questions, so I'm going to say thank you very much. Any questions, drop me an email, julia@julia-harris.com. Thank you.